Przedstawia działalność kuriera i żołnierza Armii Krajowej porucznika Jana Karskiego w czasie II wojny światowej. I też, jak wielu z jego rówieśników, życie na emigracji. Ta wystawa to pierwszy krok w obchodach stulecia urodzin Karskiego. Niech też będzie pierwszy krok w poznaniu rolę państwa podziemnego. Czasami spotykamy się z opinią, że Karski, Sendler i inni z własnej inicjatywy podjęli akcję, nie wiedząc, że istniało duże państwo polskie podziemne. I to jest bardzo ważne, żeby podkreślić rolę państwa polskiego podziemnego. Też dla nas to jest pierwszy krok, bo spotkaliśmy dyrektora Muzeum Polskiego, nowo powstałe, i uważam, że my tutaj Muzeum Polskie w Ameryce i Muzeum Polskie w Polsce będziemy mogli współpracować. Teraz bym chciał, zawsze pytanie, które było. For how many of you is this the first time that you're at the Polish Museum? Please raise your hand. Okay, we're getting a smaller and smaller group of that, so thank you for your support. I would now like to introduce the president of the Polish Museum of America, Mrs. Maria Cieśla.
Good evening, everyone. Witam serdecznie. Thank you so much. It is very moving for us to see so many guests here today, and especially for our new guests. We hope that you will return and visit us at your leisure and see the other parts of the museum that we have besides our beautiful Sabina P. Logisch Great Hall. Being the child of parents who were in the Nazi forced labor camps, and myself being born in a resettlement camp in Germany after World War II, to get to know more about the man that my parents almost held in reverence for what he tried to do to expose what was happening in Europe through the Nazis. This is very moving that we can have this exhibit here. We're very happy that it was first at the Daly Center to be shown to non-Poles. But we feel that we have done a marvelous job here with the exhibit that was sent from Poland, as well as supplementing the exhibit with many of our own artifacts in relationship to World War II. It was very moving to see many of you taking your time looking at each panel, and I think this is extremely important. We hope that some of you who are not members, we have many members here who are present, we hope that some of you may consider joining the Polish Museum of America. We do not have all necessarily Polish Americans as members, but we do have members from every ethnic group, every race, every religion, and we would love to have you join the museum and see the benefits that you have for the museum. This particular exhibit could not have happened if we did not have the support of the Jan Karski Educational Foundation. And the curator and the chairman of tonight's exhibit is a very dear friend. She is also not only a member of the Polish Museum of America, but she is a board member of the museum. And Victoria Granacki has put her skills as a conservationist and preservationist into this exhibit. And I would like to introduce Victoria to you right now. Thank you. Victoria.
Good evening, everyone. I've been involved with the Polish Museum now for about 2 or 3 years, and it's always been my lifelong goal to try and promote Polish history and Polish culture beyond the Polish community, to the American community at large, and so that everyone can appreciate the important history and culture that we have. And so tonight, I think this is a wonderful opportunity with this exhibit and this program to put in the same room Poles who are native-born, Polish Americans who may be here for several generations, like myself, and Americans whose friends and family are Poles, to sit together, to enjoy the program together and enjoy the exhibit together, and to understand and appreciate Polish history and culture. Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you've done, Victoria. We're very, very happy and pleased that you're with us. I would like to now introduce Professor Bożena Nowicka-McLeese, who is a member of the Jan Karski Educational Foundation, but who is, more importantly, a professor of Polish studies, Polish interdisciplinary studies at Loyola University. Bożena, would you please come forward?
Maria, thank you very much for your very warm welcome and the generosity and hospitality here. I think truly it can be a better way to exhibit this beautifully prepared exhibit from Poland here at the Polish Museum in Chicago. I would like to briefly just tell you the story of the foundation, which was established just recently in November of 2012, with sole purpose to educate American society at large about the Polish underground state, Polish contribution during World War II, through the incredible example and character of Jan Karski, who was among us, visited Chicago on several occasions. I had an incredible pleasure of meeting him in the late 80s. He had a very distinguished career as a professor in Georgetown and was very, very modest. He rarely talked about his accomplishments during World War II, in spite of the fact that the book he wrote in 1944 became an instant bestseller, sold 400,000 copies. But then the winds of history and politics changed, and he became forgotten and kind of retreated to a private life of an academic and concentrated on educating students. And among his students were such people as Governor of the state of Illinois, Pat Quinn, Senator Durbin, and many, many other politicians who are right now very prominent in Washington, and they remember him very fondly, very, very much so. They, when there was a tribute to him at Georgetown related to the publication's second American edition of Secret State, it was an incredibly moving experience to hear Zbigniew Brzeziński, to hear Madame Albright talk about him. They knew him as a friend, they knew him as a scholar, they knew him as an extraordinary human being. And most moving perhaps was his kind of spiritual counterpart on the Jewish side. It was Rabbi White, who in incredible way described their conversations about meaning of things that are essentially so deep to our human existence, our belief system, values, and what it means to be someone who cares about other human beings and is willing to put his own life on the line. And that's what Karski did. We hope that story of Jan Karski and the sacrifice that he made and many, many Poles made will be brought closer to the awareness of the Polish community, Jewish community, of course, and the American community at large through this exhibit, and also through efforts like introducing his book to the educational system in the United States. We have today representatives of the Chicago Public Schools who are very enthusiastic about having children from K to 12 read the story of the Secret State, learn about Karski, and learn about what he accomplished and what this unusual man from Poland did to stop the Holocaust. He did not succeed, but he certainly did try. This exhibit would not be possible if it wasn't for the efforts of, right now, a virtual Museum of History of Poland, or Polish Museum of History. We were talking about the different names for it. Muzeum Historii Polskim in Warsaw. And we are very fortunate to have with us the director of the museum, who is visiting Chicago for the first time, and hopefully not the last. He is the first director of this museum who right now exists in plans and aspirations, and also in their incredible presence online. So if you can look it up, they're already all over the cybersphere with their mission, and they're doing incredible things. I would like to just briefly mention that Dr. Robert Kostro is a graduate of University of Warsaw Institute of History. He worked with Prime Minister Buzek as a foreign affairs specialist in the Department of Foreign Affairs. And it's also very important and remarkable that it was his brainchild, in collaboration with others, to establish Instytut Adama Mickiewicza, Adam Mickiewicz Institute, which is a very special and unique institution in Poland, to establish specifically to promote Polish culture abroad. Let me introduce Robert Kostro.
Thank you very much for this warm welcome, and ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to me to be here in Chicago. We are in the process of creating our museum in Poland, but at the same time, we don't want to wait until the building is ready, but we are building the museum by making things, by making exhibitions, by making various projects. So we are not only in the internet, but also in real life. And Jan Karski is, because our mission is also to promote Polish history abroad. So almost 3 years ago, the museum and Ewa Wierzyńska, who many of you know particularly, she initiated project Jan Karski Unfinished Mission, and within the framework of this project, we have already done a couple of things. First, educational package for both Poles and foreigners. It's both in Polish and in English. We have already also made an exhibition, an internet exhibit on Google Cultural Institute, and it's available in 28 languages, online, 24 hours, and this is also one of the next steps, this exhibit that we present here in Chicago. What is interesting and important to us is that this exhibit was also already shown in UN headquarters in New York. At the same time, in this same week, we are presenting the exhibition in St. Petersburg. We will be also with the exhibition in many other cities, in Milano, in Tel Aviv, in Brussels, etc. So I think the schedule for the exhibition, not for this copy of the exhibition, but also we have other copies, will be interesting, and we hope that Jan Karski will be one of the people, that the Poles, that maybe not everybody, but almost everybody in the world will know his name. I think that his story is a very moving story, and is the story that he was one of the bravest people of the Second World War. He was charged with an important mission that could, unfortunately, that could not be completed successfully, because as you know, he could not, as one person, stop the Holocaust. No, he met whoever he could, including Polish politicians, including Anthony Eden, including Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but unfortunately he did not succeed. But we should remember this effort, that one person could try to do everything he could to save other human beings and to stop a massacre that was perpetuated by German Nazis in Poland. So thank you very much to the Polish Museum in America. Thank you very much to the Educational Foundation. And thank you also, I don't know if there is a representative of the consulate, but the Ministry of Foreign Affairs contributed to this exhibit financially. So thank you all. And this would be not possible without cooperation of many, many people. I hope that you will like the exhibit.
I believe that the History Museum has a wonderful future, Doctor. I'm looking forward to seeing it when it truly is built. I'm sure the virtual is great, though. We're very, very fortunate to have a leader, I feel, in the Polish-Jewish dialogue here in the consulate in Chicago, and that is Vice Consul Konrad Zieliński, who joined us. And Konrad, would you like to come forward, please, Consul? Thank you.
Dobry wieczór Państwu. Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie. Przede wszystkim w imieniu Konsulatu Generalnego RP w Chicago gratulacje dla Muzeum Polskiego w Ameryce za zorganizowanie tak wspaniałej formy ekspozycji wystawy o tak ważnej treści. Jeżeli Państwo pozwolą, to resztę przemówienia wygłoszę w języku angielskim z uwagi na tak licznych gości, którzy mówią dzisiaj tylko po angielsku. Tonight, the Polish Museum of America offers Chicago another great chance to learn about Jan Karski. We are glad that a number of Americans have already heard his story, and we are even more thrilled that more and more people are discovering this man's great mission. However, our mission is far from over. Each and every one of us here, our families, friends, and colleagues, still have to educate whoever we can about Jan Karski and the Polish underground state. We have to use our collective strength to make every American child and every adult person in this country aware of how much Karski had done for humanity and how close the world was from saving hundreds of thousands of lives, if only the world had listened and believed Jan Karski. The Polish state, through the words of Jan Karski, implored the West to take action and save Polish Jews, citizens of the Republic of Poland, who were being exterminated in German concentration camps in German-occupied Poland. And even though Poland was destroyed, decimated, and under heavy occupation of not only Nazi Germany, but also Soviet Russia, it still used all the resources it had to help its Jews. And there were, of course, more heroes like Jan Karski. Żegota, the Polish Council of Assistance to Jews, known for having saved thousands of Jews by providing food, medical care, and relief funds. Or Irena Sendler, who was Żegota's head of the children's section, who saved some 2,500 children by smuggling them out of the ghetto. Or, of course, Witold Pilecki, who volunteered to get imprisoned at Auschwitz, gathered intelligence, and tried to organize a resistance movement within the camp to help stop the killing. We should all use our combined efforts to make their stories known to the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Zieliński. We're very happy that you could be with us. I know the schedules are very, very tight with all the events that you have to attend. We're very fortunate. This is really almost an international presentation. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Martin Moe, the social science manager from the Chicago Public School System, to speak. for a few minutes. Martin?
Good evening, everyone. So first, thank you to the Polish Museum of America here. This is a great resource for our students, a great institution. Truly appreciate the staff here, a wealth of knowledge that are being instrumental to the work that we're trying to push out to our students. So thank you very much for hosting this. We're very excited about the opportunity for our district to connect with the extraordinary institutions such as this museum and others across the city, as well as the Jan Karski Educational Foundation and now the Polish History Museum in Warsaw. We are revamping our social science curriculum for our students in CPS right now, and we're really trying to help them understand that history and our society is made up not what they read in a textbook, but of the people that have came to America and formed it into what it was. And the Polish history is a wonderful example of something that for a ways back has been an ideal of democratic principles and heroes and people who have great stories to share with our students. The Jan Karski being a great example, and as was mentioned earlier, he did extraordinary things, tried to do things to save a group of people, and though he did not fail, he is an example of what our students need to aspire to be and what they should be looking to do, as well as to understand that their role as citizens of this country and of this world is that they need to be informed enough that they can listen to these stories, and when someone comes up and tells this story, that there'll be people who listen to it and it won't be ignored and swept under the rug. So I think this is a great opportunity for us as a district to help introduce this story. We are very excited about the book and the story being introduced to our students, along with the wealth of resources such as this exhibit and other primary sources that our students can examine and learn the story. So really looking forward to moving forward over the next couple of years and really helping our students learn Polish history as well as the individuals such as Jan Karski and others from around the world. So thank you, and we look forward to the journey.
Thank you, Dr. Moe. We can't tell you how pleased we are that this curriculum is being developed, and we're proud to be a part of the resource factor. You can see my notes are coming to me on napkins, but I wanted to just let all you know before we show the very moving film strip on Jan Karski that I'd like to invite all of you to our beautiful gift shop. It is open tonight. And we also have a very important guest book, which will be, I believe, sent to Poland at some point. On this side of there's a display case that has the guest book, and we'd love to have your name and your reaction and reflection about this evening. We also, as soon as the film strip is finished, we will have wonderful refreshments from everyone's favorite Polish deli, and that's Kasia's Deli. So we will now, Jan, are we ready for the film strip? Okay, thank you. And I apologize, we have a gift for our guest, Dr. Kostro, from the Polish Museum of America. So please accept this gift on our behalf.
Człowiek, którego imienia i nazwiska nie znałem, w ciągu następnych 2 miesięcy wyjechał do Londynu i zabrał ze sobą wiedzę o okupacji i dokumentację tych potwornych zbrodni infernalnych, których dopuszcza się okupant niemiecki.
Jan Karski's mission was to give a first-hand account of
Jana Karskiego poznałem w okupowanej Warszawie, w moim mieszkaniu na Żoliborzu. Ja byłem sam, otworzyłem mu drzwi i odbyłem z nim rozmowę. Ten człowiek, którego imienia i nazwiska nie znałem, w ciągu następnych 2 miesięcy wyjechał do Londynu i zabrał ze sobą wiedzę o okupacji i dokumentację tych potwornych zbrodni infernalnych, których dopuszcza się okupant niemiecki.
Jan Karski's mission was to give a first-hand account of the horrors of the Nazi occupation of Poland and the mass murder of Polish Jewry.
There are some two Jewish underground organizations. They want also to pass their messages. So will you do it? He said, naturally.
Karski was part of a very clandestine movement. He was working for the underground, for the Polish underground, for British underground, and he was very strictly incognito.
He wasn't Jewish, he wasn't any part of the Jewish world. He chose to be on the other side.
The initiative came from the Bund leader, Feiner. He told me, Witold, this was my pseudonym. I know the English. I visited England. When you describe them, what is happening to the Jews, they will not believe you probably. What would help our cause if you, with your own eyes, see the situation in the Warsaw Ghetto? My role, as they told me, was just to walk and observe and remember and repeat in London. Well, I saw horrible things. I remember degradation, starvation, and death.
There's no doubt that as an eyewitness to the things that he saw, he very much took it to his heart and he was deeply affected by it. And you might even say that he was actually haunted by it. And he was probably haunted by it till the end of his days.
I saw some woman with a baby, dead bodies lying on the street. We were walking the streets, my guide, from time to time, look at it, remember. For this he took me to the ghetto, remember. And I did remember. As soon as I left, I started to vomit. I vomited with blood. Never again in my life I saw this kind of a scene.
Karski wyjeżdżał z pełnym poczuciem tej misji, co wiezie w głowie, w sercu i w materiałach.
The British and Americans, the British Foreign Office and the American State Department, took a different view of the information which Karski had presented to them, of the information generally about what we now call the Holocaust.
I met all key men in the Allied camp except Churchill. I tried to tell them two basic things: the situation in the Polish underground, and then Jewish messages. What the Jews did expect or asked the Allies in order to help.
Karski was on his way to Washington with a very special mission to inform the U.S. government and hopefully President Roosevelt personally of what was going on in Poland.
The news about the Holocaust and about the fact that Jews are killed by gas in concentration camps was on the 16th page of the New York Times at the time, because the New York Times was afraid that if they'll dramatize too much the issue of Jews, they will be accused of trying to bring the United States into war.
On the front page of the New York Times that day, there was a photograph of Herbert Lehman, who was the governor of New York State, and he had donated his sneakers to the scrap rubber drive. In other words, that's the main story. And this is on a day in which the New York Times carries a report that 1 million Jews have been murdered.
I saw a lord of humanity. Roosevelt, unbelievably, he projected power, majesty.
Roosevelt was very conscious of Nazi propaganda against him. He did not want to in any way strengthen the canard that America was dragged into the war by the Jews, and this was a Jewish war. And consequently, he didn't want to do anything specifically that could be interpreted as being done on behalf of the Jewish people. And listen, if you're not willing to do anything on behalf of the Jewish people, that's a big problem during World War II, when Jews are being mass murdered in Europe.
Po rozmowie z Rooseveltem zrozumiał, że nikt nie pomoże Żydom podczas wojny, że dopiero po wojnie się porachują z Niemcami.
You will tell your leaders that we shall win this war. The guilty ones will be punished for their crimes. Justice, freedom shall prevail.
He then took a vow of silence. He said, I had this message, the world heard what I had to say and didn't, about the greatest crime in history, and did nothing.
He literally thought he was a failure. He mentioned that. And as I say, he told me that his silence was related to the fact that he didn't think he should speak about it because he hadn't done enough.
Panie Władysławie, to przynajmniej jakiś konkretnych, żywych ludzi ratował. Niektórych pan uratował, a ja chciałem uratować miliony, ale nie mogłem uratować nikogo.
Nothing important happened as a result of my mission. It didn't do any good.
He believed at that time that his mission had been a total failure, and that those to whom he told his story had not listened and had disbelieved it. And I was able to show him that in this very short period of 22 days, the report that he brought, which is quite long and difficult to read and very disturbing, transformed Allied policy from one of skepticism to one of belief, and to one of relative silence to one of very loud speaking and protesting.
Karski's testimony, Karski's trip, his meetings were part of this process that helped ultimately convince the leadership that something had to be done.
He presented his report in London on the 25th of November 1942, and a mere 22 days later, that is only 3 weeks later, Moscow, London and Washington announced publicly, in an extraordinary declaration unique in the history of the Second World War, that the Nazis were deliberately seeking and already in the process of exterminating the Jews of Europe, and that these bestial crimes were true, were taking place and were condemned.
Jan Karski's contribution was to show us what courage, what determination, what pain and resistance to what was going on in the world was all about.
He was a man of 100% pure moral character.
To był jeden z najszlachetniejszych ludzi na świecie, których ja znałem.
Jan Karski is a hero, and that's clear to me. In other words, he's a hero of the Holocaust. He's one of the few people who risked his life, in a sense, to get the word out.
Students often ask me, give me an example of a hero. Give me an example of a modern day prophet. And I would answer and say, Jan Karski.
Karski himself was, not without fear. He wasn't a fearless person. Nobody is fearless in war. But somehow to encourage young people that if you find yourself in a circumstance, whatever it is, where you can do something to make a difference, let Karski's story be one of those that inspires you to try.
If you'd like to help yourself to the refreshments and enjoy the exhibit. Thank you.